So this is something a lot of people wanted me to show. China is trying to implement a new law about online gaming that forbids daily login, first-time purchase, a cumulative purchase bonus, and selling gacha service to under 18s. The law is not implemented yet, but in the process of asking public opinion. TLDR, let's read what some of them have to say. China is going to implement a new regulation about online games. The full regulation is described in the above link. They're asking public opinion and asking player developer reactions. However, since this, Tencent and NetEase's stock dropped massively. Wait. So ever since they announced that they might do this, Tencent and NetEase are dropping stock. I don't know why, but that's so fucking funny to me. So my game's 18 plus? Yeah, I mean, I think that that's really the thing. And, you know, at a certain point, like, I have a lot of opinions about this. I think that having gacha games that, like, target, like, it's basically gambling. And I think gambling is just, you know, you shouldn't be advertising gambling to kids. Like, it's just that simple. And so you have a lot of these games that effectively use gambling systems, and it would be fine, I think, if they were labeled that way. But they're labeled as if they're not gambling systems. And so that's the difference. Gambling for kids should be illegal. Well, the funny thing is that it is. Yeah, it is illegal, and they use these games to get around the fact that it's illegal. When China, if something is announced, it usually is guaranteed to pass into law. Tencent and NetEase are good enough to make a great game without microtransactions if they wanted to. Yeah, I mean, well, they mainly invest in a lot of other companies, right? CCP, Arbiter of Morals. Yeah, exactly. And so let's see what the rest of this is. The entire regulation has more than 50 rules, and most of them are just standard regulations. However, some new stuff was added this time, which effectively affect all famous Chinese games, especially gacha and online MMOs. Forbids force PvP in online games? What about a game like Valorant? Or what about a game like League of Legends? How does that work? But okay, that's interesting. Forbids daily login bonus, first purchase bonus, and a cumulative purchase bonus. Not allowed to sell gacha, random pull, service to under 18s. Why? This is my best assumption of why. It's because a lot of the online games have forced PvP in order to incentivize people to spend money on the game. So the forced PvP is the driving force of motivating people to spend money on the game. That's my best guess. I don't know. Like, I can't read their mind, but that's what I think. Games like Clash of Clans. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get invaded in that game and I don't even know what happened. Here are the two things. Oh, this is the last one. Encourage developing games that promote socialism, core value, promoting the advantages of socialism, promote revolutionary culture, promote traditional Chinese culture, and promote the advancement of technology and creativity, promote games that are good for the mind and for health. Okay, so that's all, you know, that all makes sense, yeah. Okay, Tencent and NetEase have lost 20% and 15% of their stock value as of now. Oh my god. The limit on how much an underage person can spend based on their age. Forbid underage donating during streaming. I have like a lot of opinions on this, and I think this is a really complicated topic. Because at a certain point, I think that it makes sense that like you shouldn't have kids that are playing these games. But the reality is that the games shouldn't exist to begin with. Basically, I think that any game where you buy something in the game and you don't know what you're getting, that shouldn't happen. Like, you should always know what you're buying whenever you spend money on a game. There should never be a time where, like, this is... Okay, it's very simple, right? So you have money... right? And then it goes to question mark. And then it goes to... So, basically, the problem is... it's in the red, right? This is the problem. Whereas, theoretically, if you could just spend money and get the waifu directly, then it would be no problem. So, the problem is that there is a random chance. And the reason why this is a problem is because... it serves no tangible benefit to any customer. It doesn't improve the experience. It doesn't do anything other than obfuscate how much money you're spending. And I think that's really what the focus is about this. And like, so the two things that I think that should happen, I don't think that you should make a daily login reward illegal. I think that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I know obviously they're very annoying, but I don't want to have, like, regulation is necessary in some cases, but it should be used as a last resort. And it also should be used whenever there is a tangible harm being done to an individual that is profit driven. So, like, you know, an individual is being hurt, and then in the process of that, they're also the company will not stop doing it because they're making money, right? That's pretty much how it happens. Where, like, daily logins, I don't think that falls into that category. I think that's a massive overreach. Now, also, I want to say too, I think that weeklies and daily quests are kind of stupid, and I find them annoying. I think a lot of you guys probably feel the same way, right? Like, I feel like, yeah, all of these things are annoying, and I don't really like them. Yeah, sure, not in socialist economies. Regulations are the way the market works. You're thinking free market mindset for a socialist country? Well, yeah, I mean, I don't... Like, I'm giving my opinion on it. Yeah, I don't agree with living, like... you know, like, obviously the Chinese government is not what I would use as a paragon of morality. Like, what are we talking about here? Of course not. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, no way. And so it's not even like, I'm not saying China's awful or the people are awful or anything, but yeah, the government is, like, very overreaching. It just simply is. And so anyway, that's number one, right? And number two, actually kind of like a funny thing, is that it's actually the same thing. This is also another problem. And it's money. That's one's a little bit too big. And then it turns into... Oh, wait, boys, we're doing it. And then we'll go ahead and do this right here. Gold. And then we're going to do this right here. This is the item. Okay. So, again, I want to go ahead and make the exact same graph. The other thing that I think is genuinely bad, and I think that they should get rid of it, and they should make this a regulation against this, is... secondary currencies. So what I mean by that is that having to buy, for example, platinum or gold or stellar crystals or primogems or any of these things. And the reason why is because the goal of that currency is to scam the viewer. It's to scam the user. And the reason why I say that is because the reason why these secondary currencies exist is so they can obfuscate how much money you're really spending. So you can think in idea, oh, I'm spending 300 gold, and it disconnects you from the idea of spending $30 or $15 or something like that, right? And so these secondary currencies are used explicitly to cause people to spend more money. PoE has an easy to understand conversion rate. Most games have easy to understand conversion rates, but the problem is that most people still don't understand them. Poker chips? Well, I'm not sure about poker chips. I probably would say the same thing about them. But usually it says exactly how much money is on a poker chip, right? Usually it has it in the middle, or at least like with a lot of them. It depends on which casino you go to. Like, I've never really been to a casino, so I'm just kind of taking this based off of what I've seen in movies and pictures. So I could be wrong about this. Still tricks your brain? Yeah. And so, dumb gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure. People always like drawing these, you know, people love making comparisons between two things that aren't the same. And so anyway, these are the two problems with online games. Okay? I just want you guys to understand that. Just a sec. What the hell's going on? Okay, there we go. Yeah, these right here. These are the two actual problems. These are the two real problems with games. What's the solution? If you remove secondary currency, what do you give the player passively whenever they win purchase items for free? Money directly. What's the solution? You just give them the items directly. You give them the ability to purchase the items directly, right? I don't see the problem. Yeah, you just get the items, or you earn the items through gameplay. It's that simple. How crazy would that be? Or here's another crazy idea. You have a secondary currency that is only obtainable through actually playing the game. and you can never buy that currency. So that way, there's never a point where a person spends money and the money is basically laundered into something else that makes them not understand what they're doing. So there's like 3 other ways that you could do it. But yeah, I don't see this being a thing. These, by the way, so like my point is that these are the 2 problems that video games need to solve right now. These are the 2 things that I think should be against the law. I think that it should be against the law for you to spend money in a game and not know what you're going to get. And I also think that it should be against the law for you to spend money in a game to buy a secondary currency to buy microtransactions in that game. I find both of these things to be massively consumer unfriendly. They are manipulative, and they are designed with the sole and only purpose of confusing the viewer into spending money that they don't understand that they're spending. I think both of these things should be completely removed. Like, actually illegal to do. Now, the gambling thing, to be honest, this thing is, I would even say this one is not as bad as this one. I actually think the secondary currencies, in terms of intent, are even worse than the gacha. And the reason why is because the gacha can exist. There are a lot of examples of people buying things and, like, you know, card packs and stuff like that. Like, gacha content isn't really exclusive to, like, Japan or China or something like that. We have trading card games, you have everything else, like, you know, like baseball card packs, etc. But what is bad is currencies that are designed for the sole purpose of confusing the player into how much money they're spending. There is no benefit for the user. There's nothing good that comes out of that. So yeah, I really think that they should get rid of those 2 things. Now, I'll talk about the other things that they're going to change as well. The proposition law mentions that too. It forces companies to provide an alternative method of obtaining an item without gambling. But but set the price really high, like above pity, and the point becomes meaningless. Yeah, that's why you have... I know that. Yeah, I thought about that. And that's why you just simply have to be able to buy it directly. And you can't do gacha at all. Because then, yeah, they'll just make it prohibitive. It's there to scam the customer. I think gacha is actually worse. So gacha gambling is basically gambling for children. It is gambling, but it's not as bad as gambling. The reason why gambling is uniquely bad in a way that gacha isn't bad is because gambling allows you to chase losses. You can't chase losses with a gacha game. It's soft gambling, and it's on the spectrum of gambling, but it's not the same as gambling. You can chase a waifu. Of course you can. Oh, it's only losses with gacha? Have you covered this before? I have, but obviously, like, you know, people always love to, like, misunderstand this, and so that's why I wanted to bring it up. You don't have the sunk cost fallacy. You can chase plenty. You misunderstand what I'm saying. So the way that a lot of people that get into gambling debt and get addicted to gambling and ruin their lives through gambling, the way that a lot of people do it is like this. They spend $1,000, they lose $1,000, and then they borrow another $500 to win the $1,000 back, and then they lose the $500. And then they try to pull out a loan on $1,000 more, and then they lose that $1,000. Or maybe they get $2,000 back, but then they keep gambling, and then they lose the rest of the money, right? And so chasing losses is how gambling becomes... what's the word for it? It becomes like destructive, and it becomes like kind of that's how things get worse, right? It becomes a cycle, right? Exponential. Yes, it's destructive. Basically, I could think of another word, but that's basically what I'm trying to get at. And so that's why gambling is uniquely bad in a way that gacha games aren't bad, is because gacha games don't have the ability for you to ever make your money back. The fact that you can make your money back with gambling, and the fact that some people can win with gambling, is ironically what makes it really bad. Because if everybody lost with gambling, then nobody would do it, and people would be able to control themselves way more, because there's never the promise of winning. Whereas with a gacha game, you'll never make your money back. You spend that money on your digital waifu, you get E6 Ruan Mei in Honkai Star Rail, Furina in Genshin Impact. That's you're not going to make any money off of that. You're never going to, like, you can sell the account, but you're selling it back for pennies on the dollar. and you'll never actually come out ahead. There's never a time that you're going to have a gacha account, spend money on a gacha account, and then make more money than the money that you spent. And that's the reason why gacha isn't as bad as gambling, and it's fundamentally not the same. That being said, it doesn't mean that gacha is good. I just wanted to compare the two things because obviously a lot of people might not understand that. You're chasing satisfaction rather than money. Yeah. Or gambled away multiple loans on a house in her addiction whenever I was younger, always chasing the first one. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is it's the ability to chase is what really makes gambling so addictive. Not true. People can sell an account with that rare digital one people want if someone's willing to dump 3K onto a chance, and someone else will dump 4K onto a granted chance. No, they don't. I've seen a lot of gacha accounts being sold, and usually it's probably 10% to 20% value. I've seen websites that sell these accounts, and I would say, what do y'all think? Probably 10 to 20% value? So like you spend $10,000 on an account, and then you sell the account for $1,000 to $2,000. There's never a promise of making the money back. Player auctions. Yeah, I can pull up a lot of things that prove you wrong, but I think that anybody who's looked into this knows that I'm right. When it comes to the psychology of gambling, winning doesn't correlate only with money. You win by getting a character, and dopamine hit is just the same as a lottery win. That's why they use the system in gacha games. Well, every single video game that provides you with a reward gives you a dopamine hit. Every single time that people get a like on Twitter, a lot of them get a dopamine hit. To say that dopamine is the fundamental, addictive compound in this, and that's what the problem is so reductive, and it casts such a large net that it would literally apply to anything that gives you a reward. Even in real life situations, like, somebody gives you a compliment, that's dopamine. So I think that the way that you're explaining that is there's like such a wide net that you're casting that it becomes like you're not catching anything because it's like everything's like this, so who cares? So anyway, yeah, these are the two big problems that I have. Sorry, but you're wrong. Gacha still falls under the definition of gambling. The only reason the law doesn't is because it's ran by a bunch of boomers. Did I say that gacha wasn't gambling? Did I say that? Because if I did, then I didn't mean to. And I don't think that I did, number one. Number two, if I did, that was a mistake. Gacha is gambling. It is on the spectrum of gambling. But it is not as far onto the spectrum as actual casino gambling or sports gambling or slots. It is way less. And I would say that it is less than any form of real money gambling. You said it's softcore gambling? Yeah, it's softcore gambling. That's actually a good way to say it. Yeah, people aren't listening. Well, they were listening until they heard the thing they disagree with, and then they stopped listening. That's it. You're making it sound like it's not as bad as gambling? Probably not intending to. I am explicitly saying that it's not as bad as gambling. I want to make this 100% clear that it is not. Gacha games are not as bad as gambling. They are both forms of gambling, but actual gambling is 50 times more corrosive, 50 times more destructive, probably more than that, to be honest, than actual gacha gambling. I just want to make sure that, you understand my point. That's exactly what I'm saying. How am I wrong? Yeah, how am I wrong? I don't understand. I feel like we talked about this yesterday. No, that was something else. You're using logic to discount the fact that, in the end, both destroy lives? Well, yeah, but you can say anything destroys lives. Like, for example, watching television, playing video games, all of these things destroy lives. But what's the ratio in which it destroys a person's life, and is that ratio high enough to warrant regulation? That's really the question, right? What are you talking about? I personally think both are as bad as each other. Whether one is slightly less bad or not doesn't matter. Well, of course it matters. That's why everything everything matters in terms of degree. And I'm also not saying gacha is good, but you're beginning a conversation by you're beginning it from an intellect. I'm not going to ban him. He's in the stream all the time. He's not being rude. You're starting off from an ideologically dishonest perspective, in my opinion. And the reason why is because you fundamentally can't chase losses. And if you listen to a lot of stories and testimonials from people that are gamblers who have been reformed, The majority of them needed to do that. They're looking to, the reason why they gambled a lot is because they were trying to get their money back. So how is this not the case? I mean, I think that this is a huge, it's a huge difference. It's like gambling, not gambling. Yeah, exactly. If I choose between one evil and another, I'd rather not choose at all. Well, then I agree with you. Don't play either type of game. I completely respect that. But what I'm saying is that like, to say that there doesn't exist a world of lesser evils is dishonest. Like, I don't think that that is... And I think that the functional difference is substantial enough to where I would take it seriously. My man Geralt? No, I think he brings up a good point. But that's what I'm really trying to say. And evil's not black and white, it's a spectrum? Yeah, exactly. For sure, right? There's so many people that try to, that lost all their stuff because they wanted to win money back. That doesn't happen at all with gacha. And these people were lost anyway. Yeah, I think so. And if you like a sports team, you buy tickets to the game, there's a chance that they lose the same as gacha. You're paying for a product with the known chance that you might not like the product. I think that's a very... our opinions differ. I've tried both gambling and Diksha, and both feel the same. I would explain it better in English, but it's my first language, so I'm limited in my argument. Yeah, that's fine. I think that like an individual's personal experience with something doesn't negate its functional impact. So, like, for example, let me try and give a good example of this. There were a lot of people, here's a good example. There were a lot of people whenever Cyberpunk came out that played the game and thought it was great. They didn't have any bugs. And they were mad at everybody else for shitting on the game because they thought the game was great. So, I think that with a lot of cases, like, you can't really look at your own personal experience and then just use that as a springboard to create an entire opinion about things, right? Because if you do that, then you're just looking at it from your perspective. And I think that also, if you are doing that, you need to also have other examples. And you need to have a logical consistency with it. That's what I would say. To be fair, we all know the market gacha games are marketed to, so it might be as bad to Westerners, but the impact may be as bad as actual gambling in China. Listen. That's what you're doing right now. Okay, but the argument is useless because what is the outcome of determining that gacha isn't worse than gambling? Is it that it's okay? This person's like super aggro. I'm just going to ban them. So yeah, if you act like that, I'm just going to ban you. I don't want to deal with somebody like trying to being fucking aggressive and angry. Like, just get out of here. I don't want to deal with some like angry little spurg. Point is that, yeah, there's a lot of data for this. There are obviously a lot of data for this. And if you talk about like gambling addiction versus gacha addiction, it's a massive difference. Like in every single observed way. That's why there's 50,000 laws about gambling and like 1 or 2 about gacha. That's obviously the reason. There's a chance in the future where games start giving the player the chance of getting their money back just to hook up more people? No, of course not. That would be terrible for the business. Gacha has a guaranteed crowd? Yeah. I disagree there. Gacha is just too new for laws. Gachapon machines have been around for a long time, and fundamentally, trading card packs are gacha. How are they not gacha? There are a few ways that they're not. You're right. Like, that you technically own the product, and you're paying for a chance. But a lot of times, like, if you're saying that you're just buying the cards, you are buying the cards, but you don't know what they are. So again, like, I think we can go back and forth about this, but overall, my point is that I think that both of those things are bad. Like buying something, you should never be able to buy something in a video game that you don't know what you're buying, and you should never buy something in a video game with anything other than your currency in the country that you're in. So, like, you should buy everything in USD if you're in fucking America. If you're in, I don't know, like, Europe, buy it with euros. Like, those are the 2 main points that I have. I'll talk about these other points and, like, if I agree with them or not. Actually, I'll read the second update. Market reaction is worse than I thought. NetEase is minus 22%. Tencent is minus 19%. Let's look it up and see for ourselves. NetEase stock. Oh my God. Holy shit, are you kidding me? Wow, that is insane. Holy fuck, man? Bro, this thing went off a cliff. Holy shit. This is incredible. All right, what about 10 cent? Holy shit. That's like $5. Why are there dips? There are dips because every investor that understands these companies knows that these companies exist in order to exploit children into spending money on video games that their parents don't know that they're spending. That's the truth. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. That's what these games are targeted towards. Genshin Impact is a game that is targeted for 14-year-old girls, okay? Now, obviously, I will play it. I will probably enjoy it. That's fine. But in general, it's targeted for fucking kids. Let's be real. You mean 30-year-old men? Well, that's just how it is. And so, of course, if they're not able to make money off of kids accidentally spending their money, then they're going to have a lot of problems. I do believe gambling is worse. There's a slim chance to win money back, but in gacha, you buy the product for a chance to win, but the game could end of service at any moment, and then the money is wasted. Yeah, I think that's the case with a lot of stuff, and you're definitely right about that. That's why gacha players are, like, afraid of that. Forbids daily. So, like, okay, so next thing is that, so Tencent and NetEase are in the fucking toilet right now. Like, this is a 20% drop. That's minus 22%, minus 19. That is fucking huge. That's so big. How is that so big? That's incredible. Oh my god. Anyway, let's look at some more of these. Forbids forced PvP in online games. I don't really see how this makes sense. And, like, I'm not saying it's a bad idea or anything. I just don't understand how it makes sense. And the reason why I don't understand it is because there are a lot of games that are only PvP. So how is this... You see kind of what I'm saying? Like, how does this work with something like League of Legends, for example? I really don't know. Yeah, so whales can't stomp you? Well, I also think that... I don't think this is necessary. I don't. The reason why is because there's no... Like, if people spend money and they beat you in a game, is this something that should be regulated by the government? Is this something the government should make it to where you are not allowed to do this? I don't think so. I don't want to... I think that's way too overreaching. And I think that users can practice their own degree of, like, self-control and just choose not to engage in video games like that. Now, in China, yeah, this is China, and the government is much more powerful there. So, of course, they're going to do this kind of stuff. But what I'm talking about is, like, what I'm really saying is, like, would I agree with these, and would I want these changes? Does that make sense? Isn't it pretty clear you agree to PvP in an only PvP game? Well, you could say that you agree to PvP in games that have PvP. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways you can say it. And how do you think games will deal with dailies if that means no content? Probably some ideological reason, so people wouldn't fight with each other, probably promoting violence. Some CCP boomer thinking is right. You know what? You're probably right. Like, I'm thinking about, like, because it incentivizes pay to win, and I bet, like, the boomers over there that are making this law are like, well, we just don't like violence. Yeah, it actually probably has nothing to do. Probably has nothing to do with pay to win. That's actually, you bring up a very good point. Yeah. The issue is reaching a bit farther because people can buy power and be stronger than someone who doesn't pay. People feel inclined to mimic that behavior and play with other people on top. Yeah, but, like, I think that... I think that's okay. If you want to spend money... So I think this. I think that you should be able to make a pay-to-win game if you want to. I think it's completely within your right. And this, not in China. China can do what China does, all right? But this is my opinion. I think that you are totally within your right to be able to make a pay-to-win game. Because I think that you should be free to express yourself in a way that you choose to. And if that's the way that you choose to express yourself and other people choose to willingly engage in it, that is their decision. And people have freedom of association, freedom of expression, and they can do that if they choose. That's what my perspective is. That's what I think. So it does. And also in the same way, you can say... I fucking hate this game. This game sucks. But I just don't think that you can say you shouldn't be allowed to do it. That's what I'm really trying to get at. And so, yeah, as if all sports or real sports are pay to win, probably not in the same way, right? China doesn't believe in that, hence the new law. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're totally right. And again, next thing, forbids daily login bonus, first purchase bonus, and cumulative purchase bonus. I generally disagree with this as well. I think this is something that people can choose to do or not to do. I don't think that there's any sort of obfuscation going on. It's not really a scam. I think it's FOMO. Yeah, but FOMO exists, like, you understand that all marketing is FOMO? So again, like, just saying, like, oh, everything that's FOMO is bad, you are now saying that basically everything is bad. Because most things exist in a time-sensitive space. Yes, marketing is bad. Okay, well, I disagree. I think that people should be able and expected to exercise better judgment and be accountable for decisions that they make in their own life. I think, obviously, in some extreme cases, that things exist purely for the purpose of, scamming people or misleading them. Then I think that, yeah, they should be removed, right? But in a general sense, no, I don't think that everything like this should be removed. These laws are to protect user health, not to stop user enjoyment. If they're there to protect user health, then I think you should just get rid of the game entirely. I'll be honest. These games are unhealthy. And a lot of the, like, whole waifu culture, I think that's unhealthy too. I do. I think it's all unhealthy. I think it's weird how people get obsessed with, like, these anime characters. I do. I think it's all weird. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to look at it from that perspective, because you want to get rid of if you want to make things healthier, then you get rid of the entire thing. Nothing about these games is healthy. Like, playing video games all day, or playing video games for a tremendous amount of time, is unhealthy. You can get blood clots. You generally, like, a lot of people do it, and they ignore their social responsibilities, or, I mean, guys, what are we talking about? People all the time ignore responsibilities to play video games. Like, what are you even meaning? Right? You kill it. Yeah, and so, you're telling that to us WoW players. Yeah, but, like, how many, like, let's be honest, guys. Let's just be honest here. How many of you guys have, ignored real-life responsibilities because of a video game? All the time, right? I will do it today. All the time? Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's for every hobby and every addiction. Exactly. And so, like, that's why I think that whenever you're actually talking about things that you want to get rid of, then I think this is a very different thing versus, like, things that you want, like, or don't like. But anyway, yeah, so I generally disagree with this. I don't really like a lot of the login bonuses, first purchase bonuses, cumulative purchase bonuses. I don't really like this stuff, but I think a user can exercise proper discretion to choose not to spend money on things if they don't want to. So I don't think it's something that the government really needs to regulate. This is something the free market can solve. And again, these are all opinions of mine, and I understand this could be kind of confusing. These are opinions that I have for would I want these regulations here in the US. What China is doing is completely up to them, but I'm talking about what I think. Not allowed to sell gacha, random pull service to under 18s. Yeah, obviously that's a good thing. I mean, it's not even a question. People can't help themselves. Yeah, mostly 1% of whales spending all the money in gacha games anyway. Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. FOMO is on a spectrum. I think digital FOMO should be forbidden. Why? Why should digital FOMO be forbidden? Oh my god. Silvervale, thank you very much for the raid. Hey guys, how you doing? Some of our fucking... the people, they spam the little thing like, oh, Silvervale raid, and got instantly timed out by the mod. Oh man, that's good. Because yeah, we have a bot that does that. Yeah, hi guys, how you doing? We're talking about gacha game regulations that are apparently happening in China. So yeah. It's almost Christmas. Yeah, it is. It is almost Christmas. Holy shit. Yeah, so there you go, guys. And paste your message. We'll just make it a little bit shorter. That's all. Because there's people that make, like, huge paragraphs. I'll read some of the comments that people have to this. So, yeah. No, before, daily login bonus is goddamn good. Daily login bonus is just a feel-bad mechanic when you have a life that doesn't allow you to log in every day. Like, am I the only person that, like... I find it to be, like, a very dangerous paradigm that people don't like the mechanic and it makes them feel bad, so they want to make it illegal. Like, I don't like that. I think that's a very bad mindset to have. I disagree with that guy. Daily login is punishment if you miss it. Oh yeah, I hate daily logins as well. They're fucking annoying. Absolutely. It's a slippery slope for sure. Well, I think it's not really slippery slope. It's a person that's using their own opinion as like a guiding factor of like what everybody else should do. I think it's a person that like wants to make their opinion on something the rule of law, which not a fan of, right? Like, bro, have some self-control. Exactly. Yeah, fucking control yourself 100%. Rare China W. Probably changes nothing in a larger scale. I will say that Chinese companies are masters of circumventing around regulations. Number 2, people use fake identity. Whenever I was in China, I would use my mom's identity to play World of Warcraft. Otherwise, I can only play 2 hours per week, as per required by the laws. Let's see here. Want to add more context here as a Chinese. China have been suffering low birth rate issues for a while. The conservative government blames video games as one of the causes. You will see more and more restrictions soon. And this is my point. This is exactly what my point is. It's that if you want to make things against the rules because you think that other people shouldn't be engaging in them, don't cry me a fucking river whenever a boomer says the thing that you like is bad for you. Because, like, it's like there's always a bigger and a dumber fish. So, like, whenever you're trying, you know, you're 30 and you're trying to tell somebody who's 12 what they can and can't do, well, then there's a guy who's 67 and he's got an opinion on what you're doing because back whenever he was your age, it was totally fucking different. And he's going to make that a fucking law. So that's the scary thing, right? And that's what's really dangerous about making rules based off of your opinion. I think that things like that, they have to be, like, logically consistent in the best way possible, of course. And the take of, lol, control yourself, bro, obviously doesn't work. Try going to Skid Row and telling fiends, just stop. You have to expect people to exercise personal agency. If people cannot exercise personal agency and personal accountability, if you genuinely believe that people cannot exercise personal responsibility and exercise their own agency, you would then have to assume that so many things that people do, they should not be allowed to do. Like, for example, you shouldn't be allowed to market any product, because if you market any product, you would immediately convince a person to do something that they wouldn't naturally do. You have to change the way that stores are advertised as well. You have to change the way that, like, school is done, because why would somebody be accountable for what they're learning if they choose not to do that? So, true, make ads illegal. Yeah, alcohol, you would have to get rid of alcohol. You'd have to get rid of everything. And you would have a completely, like, at what point, what would a person's life be like if we assumed that that person had no agency? Because if a person has no agency and no ability for self-regulation, what that means is that somebody else, some sort of governing body or some sort of individual or entity that's responsible for them has to be accountable for them, right? Because, like, you can't just have people that aren't accountable to anything, to anyone, right? Because then everything is just chaos. So it's like, whenever you say that people can't exercise personal responsibility, what you're really saying is that I want somebody else to tell me what my responsibilities are. Do you see my point? Yeah, and who determines who can and who cannot, exactly. And so that's why I really dislike that frame of thinking and that mindset. And yeah, in EU countries, you aren't allowed to market prescription drugs. Yeah, and I think that's a good idea. And the reason why you're not allowed to market prescription drugs, I'll probably tell you why, is because the people that you're marketing it to don't understand it. And it's being marketed to people in a way that is deceptive. Basically, what I would argue is that, so by your logic, 12-year-olds should be able to gamble? No, because I think that there is a line. It's just that I draw that line at actual... so money gambling, I think, is bad. Where, like, so basically gambling where the outcome of that gamble can result in money and you can make money, I think that is infinitely worse, and I am not in favor of that. That's where I think it's like it's actually bad. So yeah, that's where I draw the line. People are trying to get you. Yeah, I mean, nice try, but I completely understand this. You're not going to get me on this, okay, guys? Thought about this a lot. And so it's the same thing. Well, it's not, right? That's like saying a nuclear bomb is the same thing as a handgun. I mean, sure, they're both used to kill people, but they're not the same thing. It's like you're right, but you're dishonestly right. What if they ask only for $1 per roll? It doesn't matter. It's the same thing anyway. And so, yeah, let me go back over here. So China has this problem. So forgive me, I know a little bit about China questions. Ignorant, why are low birth rates a bad thing? I don't really understand why. Like, I genuinely have no fucking idea how China or fucking Japan, like, why they have low birth rates or anything like that. It's funny because they were the ones that limited how many kids each family could have. They did this to themselves. You know, I don't know. Is there a correlation with this? Maybe there's somebody who's looked into this more than I have. I feel like as a country becomes more industrialized and a country becomes more advanced, the birth rates generally go down. I think this has happened kind of in the US. It's happened in places in Europe. It's happening now in China because China now versus 100 years ago is like totally different. So it's, yeah. That's a human thing? I think so. And Japan, I think, is another great example. So I just, like, I don't know if there's actually, like, proof for that, but I just feel like there's a really strong correlation there. Yeah, I don't know. And, yeah, it's true. Korea has the lowest birth rate. It's just not as the rate happening in China. The one-child rule killed their birth rate. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I remember whenever they had that. I think that a lot of us do. And so, yeah. Visual China very different. No one could stop the policy under maker from doing stupid shit. Just how one policy was introduced. FYI, same political party ruling China. If their policymaker genuinely think video games are destroying the birth rate, no one could stop them from introducing a radical policy any day. Well, yeah, that's what happens whenever you have a tyrannical government. I mean, that's just how it is. It's bad, but there it is. Let's see here. Are we the baddies? The daily login, first time purchase, commuted. There's no selling to gotcha. This is just common sense. Yeah, exactly. I think this is also a very good insight here, is that gambling is just banned in China. Is that true? I didn't know that. Okay, on mainland China, online gambling is still prevalent? Okay, yeah, it's hard really to say. So funny, CCP, hailed as a dictatorship, can implement the law that forbids exploiting people, yet the whole West, with their grandiose democracy, cannot. We're so long past having some major changes in the gaming industry. The CCP introduced these changes because they genuinely think video games is stopping them from exploiting people through a situation that's very hard to explain without context, trying to make it as simple as it is. Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of other reasons that don't even have to do. And this is actually a really good point. A lot of the people that are making these rules probably don't even understand how these games work. They're just doing it because they think that it's fucking up their birth rates and fucking up their population. My cousin said he can't afford kids because his wife's income has to support their mortgage, car payment, etc. In China, many people can live on retirement savings. Retirees rely on their children's income. Oh, you mean like they can't live off of that? Yeah, I mean, they have a totally different culture. Like, I know for a lot of people that are like around my age, like, I would say like our parents or like grandparents, like I'd say like boomers, basically, depending on how old you are, parents or grandparents, a lot of them had kids in their 20s. And I would say now more people are having kids in their 30s. Or at least like it used to be 24 and now it's 29. I think it's definitely gone up. I think the reason for that is because, yeah, I think the big reason is I think it's economies. I think people can't afford to take care of themselves. And also, I mean, like, you know, very, like right now, it's because of COVID too, right? Because obviously COVID massively, you know, was like a arrested development, right? It like fucked up a lot of people. And so like you're not able to like really grow your career whenever you can't leave the house. So you're not able to, you know, meet a girl whenever you can't see somebody without a mask on, right? Also, women want careers more. Yeah, I think that's another factor. But I think another reason why women want careers is because men can't support women with one career. Most women can't. I think that there are a lot of women that would want to be housewives or homemakers or just stay-at-home moms, but they know that they're not able to do that because of the economy, so they need to pursue a career. So it's not like women just want the careers. I think a lot of them feel like they need to pursue a career. Like, I know, for example, my mom, she worked, and I think that she probably would work part-time, you know, if, like, you know, whenever I was a kid, she would probably work part-time if she didn't have to. But the truth is that the reason why she mainly worked is because we needed fucking money. Like, that's it. And so, yeah, I want to be a house husband. Aware? Well, I mean, there it is. And due to the high cost of living, people in China and Japan pursue higher paying jobs and invest their time into achieving rather than dating. Yeah, and that's like another factor is that, like, I don't know about a lot of other people, but like, I think that jobs nowadays exist beyond your work time. So, for example, like, I can only talk about, like, back whenever I was like working at the IRS, that was like over 10 years ago at this point, right? Yeah, it was over 10 years ago. And so like things have changed a lot since then. But like this is what my experience is now, is that I am working 7 days a week, every single hour of the day. Somebody can message me for something that has to do with my job at 3 in the morning, at 3 p.m., on Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, Tuesday. It doesn't matter. I am always working all of the time. And I think that there's a lot of people, and obviously like the way that I do things is very different. But all of the other people that I know that also work with like, online entertainment stuff, all of them function that way. They all function that way. It's not just me. And it's not just people that are streamers either. Everybody is functioning this way, where people are working constantly. Be surprised how many leadership of these committees in China are sharp on these industries? Oh, that's good to hear. Maybe I hope you're right. So yeah. And worth it though. It's never real hard. So how many of you guys are, whenever you're not working, you could still get a call from work and you'd be expected to somehow resolve what that call is, whether that's answering it, answering the problem, or something like that, right? Yes. Me, right? And so that's being on call, not working. Well, what I'm saying is that being on call used to be something that doctors needed to be, and now it's something that everybody is. That's my point that I'm making. And I think that's the case, but I don't really understand this. That's why I'm asking. Because I've only had, my job that I do now for like the last 10 years, and then before that, it was like 2012, 2013. It was a lot different then. So like I'm kind of asking you guys, but that's what my read on it is based off everything that I see. I barely make enough money off of streaming. I had to resort to cranking my heart on OnlyFans just to survive. The economy's fucked, to be honest. Yeah, how you doing, Tectone? Hope you're doing well, man. True. As a plumber, I can feel it if people want me to have more life and less work on call all the time. If they expect someone to be on call, the salary needs to reflect that. That's always a nice, cute reality, but are you going to quit your job because of that? And if you are going to quit your job because of that, then how are you going to get another job that's not the same thing? Like, sure. Like, I agree with you in theory, but sometimes that theory isn't as easy to implement. A lot of people can't, they can't afford to just leave their job. So they're stuck in a position. Now, my perspective is that you can always quit, you can always go somewhere else, and you should move in that direction. It doesn't mean that you move on it. Like, whenever Noah started building his ark, it wasn't raining that day, right? He built his ark, and then when it started raining, he was able to sail away and not fucking die. So the concept is that clearly you should be able to, prepare yourself and move on it whenever you have to. But, it's not something you do over one day. Rome wasn't built in a day, whatever, right? There's 50 other examples. So, yeah. Jesus, take the wheel. Something like that. So, yeah. Let me look at these other ones. These moves both limit corporation and consumer choice. You know what I'm really going to be concerned about, and, I'm going to be curious about, is how this is going to affect games. Stop protecting corporations and protect the employees and people. I think that every single group of people deserves equal protection, whether that's corporations or people. I think the idea that you should be able to defraud or take advantage of a corporation, or a corporation should have to do something that is unfair, I don't think that's good. I don't think you should advocate for any type of unfairness at all. That's an L? No, it's not. There are people that work at those corporations, and people have money invested in those corporations, and you are choosing to work with them. Of course there should be worker rights. Of course there should be that. But to say that corporations are bad and workers are good is just very reductive. That's not the way it works. Like, people have like this weird othering of corporations, as if corporations aren't just a group of people. Like, it's a group of people that people have. There are a tremendous amount of people that have their money. Like, for example, let me ask you guys, how many of you guys, if 3 corporations that you had a lot of money invested into, if they just went under, right? If they went Enron, how many of you guys would be in a very bad spot? Right? A lot of people, right? Everyone? Yeah. People have their 401ks. They have their investments in these corporations. Diversify more? Oh, absolutely, you should diversify more. And I'm not saying that you'd lose all your money, but I'm saying that you'd be in a bad spot and you'd lose a ton of money. It's theft. Yeah, exactly. And so my point is that everybody thinks that these corporations are just these like separate entities, but the reality is that everyone that has a 401k, a lot of people that have like their money invested in different accounts and different stock accounts, etc., right? Whether it's something like a managed account, or they're investing it themselves, or some in between there. All of these people have a vested interest in these corporations being successful, and the economy runs on that. So you can't just say that, oh, well, we should take advantage and scam corporations. It's okay. Because whenever you do that, you're actually scamming real people. So that's what my perspective is. I think it's a very, very bad idea. It still hurts. You lose 10%. Yeah, exactly. I transfer my money into mostly property. Yeah, I have a lot of people, a lot of like family members that do that. Yeah, for sure. If corporations' interests run against the public, then maybe the public interests run against corporation. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a very nuanced topic. I think it's better to talk about it in terms of like actual specific issues rather than just like an idea, because it really depends on the issue more than anything else. But anyway, let me see if I can look at the rest of this. I'm going to be really curious to see how this affects other games, because now with this happening, there could be a huge change in the way that a lot of games, these gacha games, are developed. Because these games primarily have massive audiences in China. And if they have these massive audiences in China, and they can't use effectively like what their business model, like, let's just be honest, a lot of the business model that these gacha games have is tricking dumb people and kids into spending money. And, getting people on the daily login rotation, the first-time purchase rotation, the accumulative purchase bonus, getting people into this, right? This is the way that the entire game is structured and designed. And I want to go ahead and explain this to you guys, because, like, for example, if you look at Honkai Star Rail, almost everything in the game has to do with the store somehow. It always goes back to the store. And this is one of the things that a lot of people that don't really play a lot of these games don't understand, is that every single thing in the game is designed in a way that makes buying things on the store useful. And I can go ahead and give you some examples. The reason why different characters get introduced at certain times is so people will buy them, obviously. And they introduce new characters that solve specific problems. And then they put those problems in the game for you to want the new characters in order to solve. And then if you want to get upgrades, you want to get the, any sort of like upgrade materials, anything like that, it's all designed in a way to make you want to spend a lot of money. And so the entire game, even the fundamentals of like elemental resistances and elemental affinities, this is designed in order to allow them to rotate different characters and then sell you those characters on a regular basis by adding in different characters that you have to fight against that have corresponding resistances. It's banners. Yeah, exactly. That's the way it is. So the entire game exists like, it's like the tail wagging the dog. The game exists completely because of the store. Create the problem and sell the solution. Yeah. So let me log on. I'll show you just some examples, okay? Give me 1 second. Because you guys might not be able to see it, and you'll take a look at it right here. Make sure I've got it on. Talking about, I open a store once a month. If you open a store every day, that's on you. I don't do it, so it's not real. Okay. Well, then that settles it. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Well, we're good then. Are we in there? Okay, yeah, we're good. So let me go ahead and show you guys some of the different systems that they use. And like, I want to show you that every single thing in the game revolves around the store, okay? So right here, we have, I open up my, my character. And so this level here allows you to fight different monsters in the game. The way that you progress this level is by just doing different activities in the game. And if you do enough of those activities, you will get this level all the way up to the max that will give you more rewards. So that's, again, another thing that can be accelerated through the store. Then if you look at all of these different things here, obviously, these are the different activities of the day, different things you can do, echoes of war, all of this stuff. So if you go over to the weekly universe, or sorry, weekly points in here, simulated universe, every single thing here exists with this currency, which is your energy. And so the energy that you have here, you only have a certain amount of it. And the reason why they only allow you to have a certain amount is because whenever they do that, they get you to pay money to get more. It's that simple. So you buy more. Exactly. Your energy is about to cap out. I think it caps out at 2,000. Yeah, it says 400. Yeah, no, I'm fine. So within every single activity in the game, so like getting better gear for your characters works on the same fundamental. Getting upgrade materials for your character works on this fundamental. Getting upgrades, so like for example, if you look at this here, right? So in order to upgrade your character's stats, you also need to do that. In order to upgrade your character's weapon, you need to do that. In order to upgrade these like talent points basically in the game, you need to do that. For relics, you also need to do this, right? And so every single thing in the game all exists for this explicit purpose. And so what I'm trying to get at here is that all of these things, the reason why they are what they are is because of the store. And each different character that you have that has different types of advantages or disadvantages, they all have those for the explicit reason that it leads you back to the store. That's the purpose. You kind of see like how all this fits together. So every single thing in the entire game is created in the context of the monetization structure. That's my point. And psychology is interesting. Yeah, so that's what I'm really trying to get at here. Different characters with disadvantages and advantages? Well, yeah, because they create those advantages tactically in order to make you have to buy the new characters. Bro discovered gacha. Well, it's not even discovering the gacha. What I'm saying is that the entire game, like the very DNA of the game, on the most fundamental level, is built around the store. So if these laws go into effect, this will totally change the way that these games are designed. That's my point that I'm making. Like, I don't think people understand how big of a difference this is going to make. And Lost Ark with Mary Shop, you're totally right. And Lost Ark is, I would say, probably even worse. It's worse in some ways and better in others, right? And this will be good to consumers? I don't know yet. How would you fix this issue with games if you were in charge? I already talked about it, the two things that I would get rid of. You know, I'll show it again. Give me a second. These are the only two things that I would actually make against the law. I would make it against the law to have premium currencies. And I would make it against the law to buy things that are uncertain. I think everything else the market can decide for themselves. That's where I draw the line personally. What if I told you that your analogy to gacha games is completely wrong, and I worked in the gaming industry for 10 years? Okay. How's it wrong? What did I say that was wrong? So what, would China just charge a monthly fee instead of gacha mechanics? I don't know what they would do. And that's what's so crazy. That's why these companies' stocks are going down, is because every single game for the last 10 years has functioned under this system. Like, how many of y'all can, like, as soon as you see a gacha game, you can instantly understand everything about it? And you've never played the game before. Because it's like, okay, these are the characters, these are the upgrades for the characters, these are the empowering devices for the characters, and you have to farm these that have random drops that are associated with them, and then upgrading them gives you other random locations, or random objects, and then you get them from random locations, and then you have a weapon that's also an empowering device that can be upgraded as well. Like, it's a template that every single game goes off of. So I'm curious. Curious what about this is wrong. Even the menus look the same? Yeah, they do. And and here's the crazy thing is they want them to look the same. I'll untime you out. I work daily with developers and engineers. Sorry, you got timed out. And engineers, and the concept is not to handicap a specific strategy of characters to make people buy them. It's to create an environment that people enjoy. And if they enjoy the game, they spend money and support it. A lot of gacha players, aka whales, do not invest money into gacha because the advantage. They do it to support. If they don't invest it because of the advantage, then why is it that the banners that are by damage characters sell way more than banners that are by healing characters and support characters? Why is that? They are? Yeah. So with a lot of gacha banners, the way that they're designed, if you look at the amount of money that each banner makes, because it's all public, the banners that are damage characters sell way more than the banners that aren't. Like, for example, the Luocha banner. Like, Luocha is like the best healer in the game. The banner didn't do that well at all. Why is that? It's because people wail for an advantage. I can't imagine thinking that that's not the case. How do you reconcile these two things? Because the game evolves as it goes on and only has one problem, like the asphalt you're walking, and then everything is upgraded, build, tweak as feedback and players' expression, what works and what doesn't. Well, have you ever thought about player expression and what works and what doesn't is also in the context of how people like to spend money? Like, what's the logic there? So the logic is that they develop the game completely independently of the store? I don't understand this. Now wants to morally defend gacha developers. The dev's coping. Yeah, every single thing in the game is built around the store. Most characters are made by graphic design and animators. Those people have no knowledge of the mechanics and stuff. They just create art for what we use that art. What are you responding to? Why did you say that? What made you want to say that? The artist, no? Well, no, let's assume that he's right. But why what are you responding to? The guy's lying. Name some successful mobile gacha games from EA or Ubisoft. Well, I don't know. I mean, he could have worked on other games besides that. Exactly, the store is little to the last thing added from PR department after the title is approved by validation. So, I'm just so confused. The store is the last thing added from the PR development. So you're trying to tell me that Honkai Star Rail was developed without a store in mind. They never considered the way that the game would work at all. Like, you really, is that what you're saying? Like, the store was some kind of like an afterthought to the fact the game is created with the knowledge to focus on the store alone. Okay. Let's assume that everything that you're saying is accurate. I still don't think that makes me wrong. Because what you're saying is that the entire game is developed. Like, let's say you took out all of these things. The store still infects all of those things, and it still brings them into the ecosystem. And I think that if the game wasn't developed that way, and also, like, are you saying that these games, the people that are making these games, are uncreative? Because what are the odds that every single game works the exact same way? They just all happen to make these different characters that have different advantages and weaknesses, that all happen to have this gear that's obtained in relatively the same way, that you upgrade in the same way. They all just relatively all have the same weapons that upgrade in the same way. Come on. You think this is a coincidence? No, it's because they're designing it for the store. And they all power creep over time. Yeah, exactly. The devs know what they're making. Yeah. Store customization and how it works is the last thing that developers focus on after the product is approved, because 9 months of validations and progression iterations, the product can be invalid, so the store focus is 0. Has it ever occurred to you that part of the approval process is whether it's monetizable or not? Because I think that's ridiculous for you to tell me that the part of the approval process isn't even in context of if they can monetize the game. What do you mean? Gear drops? That's how he designs games. Yeah, that's insane. The store is the main thing. Fucking bullshit. It's just him trying to talk about his job in a dishonest way. Someone who speaks for one of these companies is the last person to speak authoritatively on this. Lots of repeating the company line. Yeah, I don't think this is the case at all. If you removed every paid thing from the game, you can finish it freely? Well, yeah. Let me see this. FC and EA was a product that was meant to be shipped on Stadia before Stadia downfall a year ago, but FC was not appealing to people in low performance, so it did not even have a store for 6 months of QA. So why is it, do you think, that every single gacha game has the exact same structure? And what I mean by the exact same structure is that new characters are added in, new weapons for those characters are added in, or empowering devices are added in, and then every single one of them has an energy system. Why do you think that every single one of these games functions the same way? Because it works. But what does it work at doing? Yeah, what does it work at doing, though? That's my point. Yeah, exactly. Making money, yes. That's because these games are designed to make money. This is just like, I wouldn't ban this person. This person's being condescending with like the smiley faces and stuff. They're like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. China culture, yeah, this guy is being an idiot. But yeah, don't want to waste any more time with that. Store is designed first and then implemented after the game is made, and then the game revolves around the store. Yeah, I mean, again, every single system in the game revolves around the store. That's just how it is. What this guy says, there's only a big disconnect between developers and the people on top that are making decisions. He's not speaking wrong. Until approval, focus on the store is 0. Well, yeah, but has it ever occurred to you that the approval is contingent on whether it's monetizable? Like, I just, like, how... Anyway. Yeah, that's clearly what the point is. Anyway, I do think this will change the way that games are designed. I think that the reason why games are all designed with the same formulaic structure is because you're right, it does work. It works with making money. And people are used to it, and they do it all the time. I think that these games exist primarily to function, to be a funnel to the in-game store. And I play these games, right? You saw I had the new character. He's all upgraded and everything. I played these games before. But I do think that this will fundamentally change the way they're designed. It absolutely will. And I think that's a good thing. I think this is obviously a, obviously Chinese government overreach. You know, what a better pair, right? Is there a better pair than that? I think that obviously some of this is kind of overreach. But in a general sense, I'm glad that there are going to be regulations for it. And I think this will tremendously change the way that these games are made. Because a lot of these games are made with their main profit incentive being making money in places like China. I'll be very curious to see what happens.